Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Cobalt, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use molar ratios to help you convert between elements and compounds. So basically you're going to use the formula for a compound to come up with a ratio between the element in that compound and the compound itself. So let's get into this. So for the first question or problem, we're asked to write a conversion factor that converts between the moles of phosphorus and P4O10 or tetraphosphorus dicoxide. So we're going to use that formula. So from the formula, you are going to get your mole ratio. So as you can see that for every one of these formulas here of this substance, so this molecule here, for every one molecule, I have a certain number of phosphorus atoms, that's 4, and a certain number of oxygen, 10. And so that ratio for every one of these and for phosphorus doesn't change, right? So if I have 2 molecules of P4O10, then that means I would have 8 atoms of phosphorus total, and I have 20 atoms total of oxygen. And it would still be a 1-to-4, 1-to-10 ratio if I was to simplify it. So the ratio isn't going to change no matter how many of these molecules I have. So therefore, if I had 1 mole of these molecules, remember mole is just a number. It's 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd particles, right? So if I have 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd molecules here, then how many molecules or how many atoms would I have? Well, since the ratio is for every one of these, it's 4 of those. So therefore, for every mole of this substance I have, then I have 4 times as much of the phosphorus atoms. So it's a 1-to-4, 1 mole to 4 moles, right? So that is our mole or molar ratio. So here I can say that 1 mole of the P4O10 over 4 moles of the phosphorus P. Or I could flip it. Remember, there's like 2 possible conversion factors. So I could have 4 moles of P on the top, and I could have 1 mole of the P4O10 on the bottom. So those either one of those is an acceptable conversion factor. So which one you use will depend on which way you're going. Are you trying to convert P4O10 to moles of P, or are you trying to convert moles of P to moles of P4O10? Okay, so for number B or letter B, it's asking us write a conversion factor that converts between moles of iron and moles of iron 3 sulfate. So here they're giving us the name, we need the formula. So we need to write the formula. So here it's iron 3, the Roman numeral tells us the charge on the iron. Sulfate has a -2 charge, so the formula will be Fe2. And then we have sulfate, SO4, and then 3 on the outside. So there's our formula. So again, the formula tells us the ratio to its respective elements. So here, for every one of these, you see you have 2 iron atoms. You have 1, or you have 3 sulfur atoms, right? Because we have the 3 out here. The 3 subscript applies to everything inside. So if I have a ratio, so I have 3 sulfur, I have 3 times 4, 12 oxygen. So I can get a ratio of one of these to whatever element I have. So if I wanted a ratio of this substance to oxygen, then it'd be for every one of these, I have 12 oxygen atoms. So the ratio is 1-to-12. If I was interested in sulfur, then it'd be whenever, for one of these, I would have 3 sulfur, so it would be a 1-to-3 ratio. Okay, so in this case, though, they want the ratio of moles of iron to moles of this substance. And I have two iron atoms here. So for every one of these, I have two iron atoms. So the mole ratio is exactly the same. So for every 1 mole of this formula or formula unit, we have Fe2, Fe2 SO4 3, that means we have 2 moles of Fe because of the 1-to-2 ratio in the formula. And then again, of course, I could flip it. So instead of 2 moles of iron on the bottom, I could put that on top. So I get 2 moles of Fe on the top. And then I have 1 mole of Fe2 SO4 3 on the bottom. So these would be the conversion factors that convert between moles of the Fe2SO4 3, the iron 3 sulfate, and the iron. Finally, we get to a question: how many moles of sulfate are in 1 mole of the iron 3 sulfate? So here we're looking again at iron 3 sulfate. Here's the formula. They want to know what the mole ratio between the iron 3 sulfate and the sulfate itself, right? So here we're looking at the whole sulfate ion here. So what's the ratio between this whole thing here and this part here? So here it's really important to understand the formula. So here with the parentheses, whenever you have parentheses around your polyatomic ion with a subscript on the outside, that tells us how many of that polyatomic ion we have. So in this case, we have the subscript 3. So that tells us that we have 3 sulfate ions here per 1 formula unit. So it's a 1-to-3 ratio. So if I write the conversion factor for this, it would be 1 mole of the iron 3 sulfate, SO4 3, over, and then we have 3 moles of the sulfate ion. And that's a 2 negative. So what's the mole ratio? So for every mole of the formula unit here, we get 3 moles of sulfate. So the question is, how many moles of sulfate are in 1 mole of the iron 3 sulfate? Well, it's written right here in the formula. So we have 3 sulfates in 1 complete formula. So the mole ratio is 1-to-3. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's how you can find or figure out what the mole ratio is between an element in the compound and the compound itself. Also, keep in mind, you could also do mole ratios between elements in your compound, right? So here I could do a mole ratio between the number of iron atoms and the number of sulfate ions. So here would be a 2-to-3 ratio. Or I could do the ratio between sulfur and iron, which would be a 2-to-1, a 2-to-3 ratio again, right? Or oxygen. So I can do mole ratios between elements in the compound as well. But here I'm just showing you between the compound and the element itself. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, hit that like button, share the video with your friends. Also, if you have any questions, please put down your comments below. Also, subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you hit that notification bell. And when you do, make sure you click all. So that way you can be notified by all the videos I put out. And when you put a comment down below, please let me know what you think. Ask me questions. If there's a topic you want me to cover, or if there's a problem that you want me to help you solve, then please, by all means, reach out to me down below. I would love to hear from you and help you out with that. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.